Yeah, I'm live now. Hopefully it works. Okay, so welcome to my live. I'm talking to you, TikTok. I just had to get YouTube going. YouTube is where I save all of my lives, and then I hop from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok while I'm on YouTube the whole time. Okay, so welcome to my live. I'm Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, a mother. I'm also a grandmother. If you want to check out my website, BratBusters.com, you can get my free behavior board, my courses. The Mother's Day sale starts tomorrow morning. It's all on the website, and it's 10% off on the boot camp courses. Nothing else, just the boot camp courses. Coaching, unfortunately, it's closed down right now just because I'm booked solid. But if you want to get on a notification list, the wait list is closed down, but if you can get on a notification list for coaching, you can do that. We're trying to work on that. Next week is our plan to work on coaching, figuring out how to, I don't know, make it more efficient, get more, I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. We're trying to figure this all out. What do you do when you've got too many people who want coaching and you don't have time? So yeah, we're trying to figure out maybe group coaching, or if you have any ideas, something that you might want. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. Group coaching would never be as good as one-on-one, but it's still better than nothing, right? So we're trying to figure it out. Yeah, it is a good problem to have, but because this is such a passion of mine, I get very upset because I know there's people in crisis, and I've always said I'll always take people in. What I'm serving right now is my current clients keep rehiring me, and I of course I'm going to let them continue before anyone else can come in, but I can't even serve the crisis clients right now. That's what's upsetting me, is because I specialize in teen crisis work. So that's what's upsetting me. It's upsetting, it bothers me. Anyway, enough about that. You can also look into a podcast. My daughter and I do the podcast together because we work together. She quit her corporate job last August, and she's with me full time now. And she does all the planning, marketing, and social media. We don't work together, but it's in the same business. But yeah, if we sit in the same room together, I drive her nuts. Like it was a while back, I was just telling the story I think on Facebook. And one day she said, now, Mom, while I'm doing this on your computer, she was setting something up on my screens here. And then she goes, while I'm doing this, I want you to do that on your phone. So you can just go in the other room and do that. She looks in there. You know what I was doing? I was darning a sock. I didn't do what she told me to do. I'm darning a sock. It sums up our relationship to a T. She's driven, she's organized, she's a hard worker. And here I am darning a sock and humming. So yeah, she's the driving force in this business for sure. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Anyway, the podcast, we just released one today, and it was on lessons learned from our mothers. I talk about my mom, and she talks about lessons she's learned from me. So it was a fun one to do. We also answer parenting questions on that podcast. Okay, hi, Caitlin. Sorry, the YouTube is just glitching. I don't know. So should I ignore my almost 2-year-old right after a tantrum when he asks for water or snack? If I do, it turns into another tantrum, but I don't normally refuse him drink or food. Oh, they'll ask for anything to pull you in. Yeah. As far as they're concerned, they're dying at that moment. Yeah, they'll die if they don't get water or food. So they'll do that to pull you in. If he's still screaming, I still ignore. You still ignore. I need a hug. I want a hug. Ignore, ignore, ignore. That's not a need there. That's just he's trying to pull you in. So yeah, wait till he's completely finished. Then you say, okay. Then he might say, can I have a snack? Say, sure. Do you want a snack? And then if he starts up again, ignore again. He's just pulled you in again. Okay. He's just done you. He's done you in again. He's gotcha. So yeah, this is, they'll say anything to pull you in. Nobody loves me, and just ignore, ignore, ignore. When they ask for a hug during a tantrum, that's not a love hug. That's I'm going to pull you into this tantrum. Come on, come join me in the tantrum. It's not a love hug. You hug them any other time, but not during a tantrum. It's validating it. You just joined it. You stay away from it. None of your business. Let them finish it up. You want them to learn how to manage their own selves. A tantrum is not really big feelings or emotions. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control and not getting their own way. And they'll do anything to pull you in. They'll do anything to upset you. They'll do anything to get your attention while they're having a tantrum. That's the purpose of a tantrum. It doesn't always start to get attention because they start because they're mad because you said no. But during the tantrum, they're trying to change your no into a yes. That's what they're doing. The only way to stop a tantrum is to give them what they wanted in the first place. You can't do that. Then they're just going to have more and more and more. I've been ignoring it the last 3 days. There could be other stuff going on. I don't know. This is just a general answering questions here. There could be other stuff going on, but 3 days is nothing. It usually takes 3 to 6 weeks to see a difference. So reminds me, I used to teach fitness, and people would say, people would actually say, I've been to the gym 3 times this week and I don't see any difference. didn't even know how to answer that. Like, yeah, it takes time. Change takes time. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight. Okay, disciplining for spitting. It depends on the age, but generally it's kind of it can be a quick fix. Every time they spit, you say no, and you make sure you got a wet rag handy. Make sure it's cold and very uncomfortable. So every time they spit, you say no, and you hold the back of their head and you wipe their face. Take your time. It's a cold, wet rag. They don't like that. And then you wipe up the floor if they spit on the floor, and then just throw it in the wash and be ready for the next spit. So that's what you do. That's what I would do. But calm, no anger. Just wiping that with a nice icy face washer, wiping it up. Take your time. "20 months old, yeah. Maybe not take my time quite as much, but I'd still wipe his face. If they're older, some 4 and 5-year-olds are still spitting. I would take my time with them. But a 20-month-old, no, just wipe them up. Say no, wipe them up. But a little bit, you want them to go, "Whoa." You want them to not like that. You want him to associate spitting with this wet, cold rag on his face. They learn, when they're under the age of 3, they learn more of a knee-jerk reaction. It's not words. It's more association. Like they'll touch a hot stove or hot oven 9 times, but they might not touch it on the 10th. They're not really thinking about it. It's almost like muscle memory. So it's not, if he doesn't think, now wait a minute, if I spit, I might get a wet rag on my face. It's not like that. It's just almost muscle memory. It's like spit, and then something in his subconscious tells him not to do it but he doesn't even think why. So that's what you're after. All these mini therapy sessions discussing everything with toddlers are absolute crap. I know it's trendy, but it was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. It's garbage, it's crap, it's ridiculous. Toddlers are not about words, they're about actions. Words are useless. They will agree with you. Now, you shouldn't bite mommy. That really hurt. I know, I'm sorry. And then he bites you again. You're like, what the heck? Because you're doing it wrong. They're not listening to you. These mini therapy sessions are absolute garbage. Get rid of it. Okay. Love your podcast. Thanks so much. We love doing it. My daughter and I do it together. We're having a blast. The one today was on Mother's Day. It was on what we've learned from our mothers. And I talk a lot about my mom. My mom was my idol. I looked up to her. She was very funny, very warm. She had this gift. She always saw the positive in everyone and everything. But she wasn't like a real sweetsy, sickening. She was very funny, very witty. But she was a very positive person, always looking for the good in life. She never went down the negative path. She always went down the positive path. I just admired her so much. And my daughter said something interesting. She goes, what she remembers a lot about my mom was how other people talked about her. Everyone just said, oh, Lil, she was just fabulous. She was just such a warm, funny, she made you feel good. That was her gift. She had the gift of making you feel good. And make you laugh. She was entertaining. She was just a really special lady. And everyone thought so. I remember my friends would come over and I used to be jealous because they'd just sit and talk to my mom all night. Okay, not jealous. I was proud of the fact that my mom was so well liked by everybody. Okay. My 14-year-old is super distant from his 2-year-old. Is there a way to get him to want to engage? Now, you said my 14-year-old is super distant from his 2-year-old. Is he a father? So I don't understand that. I'll make note of your name and I'll look for your response. Some kids do have kids really early. Kids have kids sometimes. What age do you teach kids to swim? Well, I'm not a swimming instructor, but I had my kids in swimming lessons when they were babies. You blow in their face and they go under the water. I don't know how well that works. I don't know. But yeah, we did all that. No, his little sister, LOL. Okay. Yeah, you can't expect a 14-year-old to want to engage with a 2-year-old. The only chance you have is setting him up as the hero so that she'll idolize him and he might like that. But how excited were you at 14 with a 2-year-old? So yeah, don't push that. You can't demand that. You can't You can't force that. Don't worry about it. There's a big split in age. You can't expect that. I don't think my brother's like 16 years older than me. He never looked too thrilled to have me around either. So, and I didn't expect him to. Would have been nice, but I didn't expect that. I was very aware that I was not that exciting to him. My kids, 7, 5, and 3, just call me all day long. Mommy, 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 help. Okay, you fed that. You've taught them how to do that. So what I would do is I would just I'd check out the boot camp course if I were you. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. The sale starts tomorrow, Mother's Day sale. I would check that out because you got to get organized. You got to get systems. They're bugging you all the time because you keep answering them. And also maybe you're not playing with them enough. Are you? Because connecting with kids is really what I'm teaching here. You want to connect so that they feel good about themselves when they're with you. Therefore, they want to please you. So that's sort of how we work here. Like that was my power when I mentored kids for years. And that was what I did. I knew how to make them feel good about themselves, but I don't take any crap. I deal with bad behavior, but then I focus on the good kid. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. So maybe you're not spending enough time connecting and playing with them. That could be it too. That goes through that in the course. We go through all that. Should I be holding strong to boundaries with my 9-month-old, or is it too early to really direct? No, you use redirection with a baby. You still correct them, but you use redirection. Like you pull them, if they're biting another baby on the head, you don't keep letting them do it. You say no, and then you redirect them somewhere else. So. Okay, I'm too drained to play with my kids and only personal extra moments. I shower and try to get rest. Got to play with them. If you're not connected, they're going to be whiny and demanding because you're not feeding their needs. Okay? Right? Does that make sense? Connection is what makes it all work. Without connection, it doesn't work. If you're only addressing bad behavior, but not addressing the good kid and playing and connecting with them and having fun with them, it can only be, you could just say, okay, my rule you start the behavior board, and your rule is you have to play hide and seek with the kids for 10 minutes every single night. If you can't find 10 minutes every day to play with your kids, I can't help you. You gotta chip away at 10 minutes of your day, and you have to play hide and seek with your kids. Put a timer on, say we're going to play for 10 minutes, put a timer on, and start there. Start small. It doesn't have to be a big show. It's little snippets here and there is fine. Play I Spy in the car. I did that all the time with my kids. We were always chatting, always playing games, constantly. I remember having days where I was only allowed to use a Southern accent. I could only talk like this, and I had to sing like this, and everything. And they were laughing. I mean, I was always chatting with them. They were good company. They didn't act out because I was a leader. You connect with them, you lead, and they will be a joy to be around, just like mine were. Total joy. I remember school moms used to say, every time we see I had a little blue RAV4 when they first came out, the RAV4s. I love that car. Anyway, it was a blue RAV4, and they said, all we ever see is, like they say, are you really always just enjoying your kids? And I said, yeah. And they said, every time you drive by, this is all we see. You know, that cartoon where the head would go up in there. And they said, you and your kids are always laughing. But yeah, I put the work in to enjoy those kids, though. I put time in. I put effort in. And then they were a total joy. There was no effort because they were just such a joy. There was no effort. I loved being with them. They were fun. That's what leadership's all about. I want you to find joy in parenting. I want you to wallow in your kids like I did. I said to my daughter a few months ago, I don't even know why I asked. I said, were you aware of how much I wallowed in you? She goes, yes, we knew. Yeah, we knew. There was no doubt. I wallowed in parenting. I loved being with my kids. I loved it. They were fun. There's no discipline needed because I was already a leader. You set up your leadership, and then you won't have to discipline. But I was in trouble more than they were. I'm accountable. Leaders are accountable. I'll tell you this story. I've told it a million times, but my kids were 8 and 3, and God, I hate cooking. I hate it with a passion. Anyway, but I made everything from scratch because I'm into health food. So anyway, so my kids said, Mom, can you please make muffins tonight? And I said, okay, fine, I'll make muffins tonight. They went to bed. Of course, I forgot. And the next morning they said, Mom, you said you were going to make muffins last night. I said, sorry, I forgot. I promise I'll make muffins tonight. And my kids looked at each other and went like this. I knew exactly what they were thinking. And I said, I'll make them, I promise. And they went, mm-hmm. So anyway, the next morning they got up and they came into the kitchen together. And my daughter was 3, my son was 8. He always was the spokesperson. So he comes in, he looks like this. And my daughter's like this. And they come in and he says, remember last night you said you promised you were going to make some muffins? I don't see no muffins. I said, drats. And I said, what do you want? And he says, we'd love to go to the water slide park after school today. So that's what I had to do. I was accountable. I promised I would make muffins. I didn't make them. Now I have to make it up to them. I took them to the water slide park. And then another time that we did that too, they said, and the new rule is, Mom, when we go, you can't go first. I remember the first time we went to that water slide park, it was a local one. It wasn't a huge one, but they had water slides there. Anyway, went there and I said to the kids, I said, okay, now you have to stand behind the red line because you're not allowed to go past that red line. They'll let you know when you can go. There was no one manning the slides. So I said, and then I said, suckers, and I ran and went first down the slide. So they said, you're not allowed to go first next time. So I had fun with them. I had a blast. It was fun. And kids know when you're enjoying them. It increases their self-esteem. You know when someone's just putting in the time, looking at their watch, pretending they're enjoying you, that's not connection. It's when the person's really enjoying being with you. You have to find ways to connect with your kids. That's what it's about. You have to enjoy being with them. Find something that you can play with them, do with them, that you can enjoy also. I babysit my granddaughter one day a week. And someone said to me the other day, they said, it was funny that they said this. They said, you two look so close. She's 16 months old. You two look so close. I play hard with her. I love playing with her. She's only 16 months old. She knows it. She knows I love being with her. She can tell. All I'm there for, I'm not doing anything else. When I'm there with her all day, I am just one-on-one playing with her because that's why I do it, so I can play with her all day. That's connection. It's when you're enjoying them. Find a way to enjoy them. Were you a single mom? I was when my kids, 9 and 14, we split up. But we always got along, so there was no animosity. So it was pretty smooth. They don't care if you're together so much as they care that you get along. They would rather you divorce and get along. We didn't fight when we were together or afterwards. I always say, well, I don't think we cared enough to fight. So, which is a good thing. So, but anyway, yeah, no, I was a single mom right through the teen years. The roughest part with that was that when he'd go out with his friends and he'd be out late, and then my daughter's 5 years younger and I was on my own. So if I had to go pick him up at 1 or 2 in the morning, I had to wake her up. That was the toughest part of parenting as a single mom. That was by far the toughest part. I hated waking her up. And we had to go down all the way down to the car and then drive them. Oh, I hated that. That was the only tough part, I would say, about being a single mom. Well, also, then you don't have and also I didn't have anyone to talk to about my kids. I missed that. I had my mom, which was great, but that was the only thing. No, we didn't have split custody. No. I mean, they visited him, but I had full custody. And we never worked anything out. Like we just discussed it and it just worked. He worked long hours. It worked for us. I was a stay-at-home mom. So it just worked for us. So, we just discussed it. We never did anything at the courts or anything like that. Okay. But, you chose to have kids with that person. So you're stuck with them for life. However you feel about that person, you're stuck with them for life. And you're going to have grandkids together one day. And, they're not a person that you would choose to be around other than the fact you're stuck with them for life. You make the most of that. That's your job to make the most of that. Okay. It's not your kid's fault that you didn't want to be together. You don't ever want to see each other again. That's not your kid's fault. You chose that person. Make the most of it. Take the upper road. Take the classy road. Okay. Do that just because it's the right thing to do. Put your feelings aside. Oops, I got to get going. Yeah, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. The bootcamp sale starts tomorrow. You can get my free behavior board anytime. And you can look into coaching. Unfortunately, there's a big wait list for that. So we're trying to figure out how to deal with that right now. Next week, we're going to do some talk, meetings and try and figure that all out. Just because I'm booked solid right now. So, and my current clients often rehire me. So that I'm just sort of with them all the time. But anyway, we'll see. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah. Check out our podcast. My daughter and I do a podcast together because we work together. She does all my marketing, all my social media, and she does all the business planning. So we work together and it's a fun dynamic. We're best friends too. And she's my daughter and she's also my best friend. And so anyway, check that out. We have a lot of fun doing the podcast, and we hope that you join us there. And we are answering questions on there too. We did a Mother's Day sort of special one today, and it's lessons that we learned from our mothers. So I talked about my mother, she talked about me, and then we also answered some parenting questions at the end. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow at the same time. So between 4 and 5 p.m., I'll be doing another live. And I'm on YouTube the whole time, and I'm going to start on Facebook, and then I go to Instagram, and then I go to TikTok, but I'm doing YouTube the whole time. And that's where all the lives are saved. Thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. Bye now.